Now students, when it comes to passing tuples to functions, there is one significant difference. These lists which we use to pass. Now this is your global area. Suppose within the global area, you have a tuple and the name of the tuple is my tuple, right? And this tuple consists of three values, 3 pointers. Tuples use a single level pointer only. Okay, that is, if we have a tuple T, then it would have a single level. At the single level itself, it will be consisting of references to different objects. Whereas in case of a list will have two different layers. If you remember correctly, in 11th class, I had taught you that lists first contain a reference to a memory area. First, they contain a reference which contains a pointer position. It contains a position which consists of the size, that is total number of items in the list. Okay. And there are various other options like starting address and other things. And this pointer which is there, it further points to another memory area, which is actually your list object consisting of several different pointers to different objects. Whereas in case of tuple, it's only a single level. Okay, it just points to one object which contains references to different object, right? So that is the reason why tuples are not mutable. So here it will be something like this. Originally I have my tuple over here. Suppose it is pointing to three different objects, right? So one reference each to each of them. So this is my tuple. Now we pass my tuple to a function, and this is a local area. And suppose we pass it to a function which accepts it as t, right? So now it would be that t will be containing, it would receive these three, and it would be actually created at a different location and would be containing reference to these three objects. Okay. So this is T. T is created at a different location, and this is it. The existence of my tuple is different. T is different. The only thing is all the pointers or references within T are pointing to each of these. One second. Let me start recording this. Okay, I've started recording. Fine. Yes. So here, in case of list, it would have been the list already has one level of pointer which points to another object, which is actually an object, a list object containing pointers to different objects. But here, tuple is what it itself is an object which contains references to different type of objects in the memory. Now over here, if I add something to a tuple, individual item assignment is not allowed in a tuple. Individual item assignment is not allowed in a tuple. Okay, because of which if I write something like t equals t plus 12, that is I'm adding another value. Originally t was 1, 2 and 3, and now I want t to contain 12. So this would be the statement which I will be writing for t, because t doesn't have any function like extend or append. Okay, we cannot just add another item to t. which is a tuple. So what will happen? T would now be pointing to another memory area, okay? And a new tuple object would be created consisting of 4 different pointers, out of which 3 would be pointing to the original 3 values, right? And the last one would be pointing to 12. Somewhere over here, maybe 12 is there, right? Now, when this function stops its execution, it will leave the memory. So what will happen? This whole area is going to be deallocated. The existence of this local area is gone now. So now what about these references over here? Because along with the disappearance of the local area, right? All the references which were made to these memory locations, they are also gone. These references are also gone. What is left is your global area, my tuple, which is still pointing only to 3 different values, 1, 2, and 3. So that means the changes which took place on the tuple in the function, they are not reflected back in the global area, right? This is why the tuples immutability, it plays a major role in this. It is the same as passing any integer value or a float value like we saw before. Okay, whereas in case of a list, because in a list we are making changes in place, a reference is added to that same list object, hence its changes are reflected back in the global area also because of its mutability, right? So this is how immutability works, because immutability means that an object assignment, when you try to reassign that object, reassign, here you are reassigning to that object the place where originally T was created, the object, the original object, tuple object which was there, now the label T will stop pointing to this object. Another new object will be created within that function, which will be named as T now, right? So that would be pointing to the 4 objects, but then what will happen if the function completes its execution? Because all the local variables defined within that function, they are completely gone. That's why no changes are reflected back in the global area. So this was how we pass tuples to functions, how the immutability of tuples works. So now we come to file handling. First of all, students, tell me what are files? You have heard about this term, files and folders, multiple times. So what do you understand by files? Aryan?
Yes, ma'am. File is a memory location in which we can save anything.
Basically, save data or store data. File is an entity where it's a location on your memory, whether secondary storage or primary temporary storage, where we save some data and save it under a name, right? And different applications, they create different files, right? So files are the ones which store data. You should remember one thing, that folders don't store data. If you just create a folder and you check its size will be 0 bytes. Because folders in themselves, they don't occupy any space. They are just entries made in the file allocation table, okay, on that partition. So folders are the ones which store more subfolders and files. If the subfolders contain files, or if the folder itself contains some files, then the combined size of all those files and subfolders, their files, and so on, that would constitute the size of this current folder, right? So first of all, you need to know very clearly about, it should be very clear to you that where you are storing the file, where the file is saved on the hard disk. And for this purpose, the file hierarchy should be very much clear to you. Last year in 11th class, when we were studying about operating systems, I hope you remember one topic, Windows directory structure. Do you remember this? Windows directory structure, that is folder structure. How Windows saves all the files and folders. Normally it starts from root, and with root we can say that it could be any of the partitions like C drive, D drive, E drive and so on, which store your folders. Suppose I'll say use the term directory to represent folder and files. So I will use D, capital D to represent all the folders and capital F to represent all the files. So you can see D over here. D, this is D1, D2, D3, 3 folders. And we can have some files here like F1, F2, another folder, D4, right? Moving on, I'll go to D3. D3 contains, suppose, a file named F3 and another folder named D5, and D5 contains 2 files, F4 and F5. Now, if you have to figure out what is the path of F5, how will you figure out the path of F5? Can anybody tell me this one? What will be the path of F5? How will you trace F5? You will start from the root. That is C, okay? And then where is it within C? F5 कहाँ से मिलेगा हमें? Which folder do I need to look within C drive? Look into the
D3.
diagram and read, students. Yes, D3. Then within D3,
D5.
D5. And within D5, we have F5, which is your file. It would have some extension over here, right? So I'm just writing ext to represent that extension. So you can see the root, then you have a folder, then a subfolder, and within that we have the file. Okay, followed by the extension of the file, which shows which type of file is it, right? So it is very important for us to understand the Windows directory structure, which represents an upside down tree structure. An upside down tree structure, right? We start with the root. Within root, we can have some files and folders. Then folders can have subfolders, and then again subfolders, again some files, and likewise. If I have to figure out the path of F3, it will be C, D3, and F3, right? That is, we are tracing the entire path starting from the root to the file, to the node, right? So this is very important, first of all, to understand the files and folder hierarchy in your disk drive. So very first step which you need to do is fix a position on your screen. So I'm going to open the Explorer. You can see the Explorer is opened over here. And where I will show you the directory structure on, I will show you the place where I am going to save all the files which I create. So within class 12, I have a folder named class 12 programs. Then I have a folder named chapter wise programs. and within that I have file handling, right? And within this I have kept a folder named files. For the time being, I will start with placing the files in the same folder as the Python program, because right now you people are, you are not very familiar with file handling. But in the subsequent lessons, we are going to replace that with what? We are going to start using relative addressing to specify exactly the location where we are saving the file. The idea is to separate the files from the program. So you can see these are some of the file handling programs, and those file handling programs use files which are stored in this folder named files, and so many different files you can see over here. So we are going to use some of these files for handling our tasks, right? So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a simple path, not so much into this. Okay, let me go to class 12 programs, and I'm going to create another folder here named file handling tutorial. So this is a new folder which I have created, and within this folder I'm going to save all my Python programs as well as files for the time being. Okay, and I'm going to save it to the quick access. So right click, pin current folder to quick access. So you can see this file handling, it appears over here. Okay, and I'm going to pin it. Right. Is this first step clear to everybody? So on your computers at home, you are first going to set up a location where you will be saving all the programs and the files, because now your programs, now the programs which you create will also have an accompanying file along with them. So this program and its file, they will become a part. They will become a whole group. Okay. Program बनेगा तो उसके साथ एक फाइल भी बनेगी. Understood? Program और फाइल का लोकेशन इस बात का ध्यान रखना है कि where on the hard disk you are storing the program and where you are storing the file. Always remember that the program will run successfully only when its file is saved, only when, not only that, wait, when it is able to access its associated file. A program will be able to run successfully only when it is able to access its associated file. प्रोग्राम में जो फाइल बन रहा है या जो फाइल प्रोग्राम रीड करने की कोशिश कर रहा है वो फाइल कहाँ पर है. So if the program is able to access the file, your program will run successfully, right? So for the time beginners, we will start by placing the program and file together within the same folder. But later on what we will do is we will create a folder named file handling. Within this we will have two folders. One is programs and one is files. So within the programs folder, all the programs will be saved, and within the files, all the files will be saved. Understood? So this we will be doing later. Right now, you will go with the first way, that is create one folder, and within that folder, save the program as well as the file. First step, is it clear to everybody? Please give me a quick feedback on this.
Now I have a doubt.
Yes, please ask.
Ma'am, the folder which we created, that folder should be in the folder of Python idle app, or it
No
can be
need.
anywhere.
No, absolutely not. Firstly, it's a complete no-go. It's a complete no to save anything within the Python idle app. Okay, normally when you save anything in Python, please remember this one thing. I'm opening a new document here. When you click on Control S, it by default shows you which path, the Python 3.8 or Python 3.7 folder, which is the installation location within program files within C drive. So this location is a complete no. यहाँ तो save करना ही नहीं है, because if you save your programs and files here, right now what you can see is only a group of folders. But when you open the file explorer and you just check it, like I'll be just going to the, wait a second, let me see where is Python idle over here. Yes, right click. I'm going to open its file location first of all. See, look at the file location. You have folders also and you have files also. So if you save your program in the same location, your program will get mixed up with the system files which are saved in this location. इस location पर तो save करना ही नहीं है. That is the reason why it is very essential first to organize your work. So you choose any suitable location on your hard disk. Preferably a D drive, E drive, F drive, है ना? Not in the C drive. So D drive में आप एक जगह बना लो. Go to your system, go to D drive, and here also you can create a folder naming file handling programs. Right? And you can add this to your quick access, because so that you can keep accessing this location very easily. तो इसी फोल्डर के अंदर आप अपने फाइल्स भी रखो और प्रोग्राम्स भी सेव करके रखो. इज दैट क्लियर आर्यन?
यस मैम.
है ना? दिस इज द वेरी फर्स्ट स्टेप. सब लोग गलतियां कहाँ से करते हैं? यहीं पे करते हैं कि you create the file within that same Python idle folder and later on you are confused because your work is total. See, organizing your work is very, very important, right? So we start with, because I'm saving everything, I usually prefer saving everything in this Microsoft Teams, my usual place, okay, that is class 12 programs, and I have already created a folder here named file handling tutorial. And I'm going to save all my file handling programs over here, right? So I have fixed a place on my computer. I want all of you to fix a place on your computer as well. Now, so these are some of the prerequisites. Now we start with understanding what is a file. So we have already seen what is a file. We will start with types of files. Okay, before we go to types of files, why the need for file handling? The reason is, sometimes till now the programs which you have been doing, there was no need to save the output of the file, output of the program, because we know that your program, it takes some input, okay, and it gives some output, right? We have been doing all these types of programs so far. But what about a case when you need to save your output? Output मुझे save करना है या input भी मुझे save करना है कहीं पे. So what about this case? For example, take the case of a busy hospital and the data entry operator who is entering the record of each patient who gets admitted, right? Why do you think the operator is doing so? Why can't we always or every day create an array or a list of patient records and save it in the RAM? Can anybody tell me? I have 50 patients in the hospital right now, and I want to save the records. I want to access the records of all those 50 patients, and I decide I will not use file handling. I will create a dictionary for all those 50 patients, an array of those, a list of dictionaries I'll create, okay? And I'm going to create that dictionary every day before starting my day. So is it going to be feasible, students? Tell me. If I have
No.
to create that dictionary, I have to enter the records of all 50 patients every day. It is not feasible, and it is not necessary that my hospital is going to have only 50 patients. It's going to have more than that. So it is advisable that as and when the patients get admitted, okay, the data entry operator runs the program asks for input, right? So वो जो input हमने दिया, like the complete details of one patient, it is saved in a disk file. Save it in a disk file, go on saving the records one by one, okay? So your disk file has all the 50 records, and it goes on increasing every day because you are adding to that. Now later on, when I need to get a report on how many patients were treated successfully, whose treatments were completed, it will be very easy for me to just run a program to process all these 50 records so that I can get the required information quickly, right? This will help save my time. Understood? So this is a very easy way of saving data for later use. Okay, save the data as and when it's coming, and later on, what we can do is use that data. Understood? So this is the way in which this is the main requirement of file handling. Why we need files, so that we can go on saving the input or output in a particular file, and we can use it later on, right? Coming to types of files. How many types of files we will normally handle in file handling? Number one is text files, and number two is binary files. First of all, talking about text file. A text file is a simple file which we create, like I'm going to this folder here, and I right click, go to new, go to text document, and I type something like my file, right? Press enter, right click on it, go to properties, and you check its property. It will show the type as .txt, right? I'm copying this. Let me come back here, and so what is the extension which you see over here? It is .txt file. So you created a text file, and normally text files are created in simple editors like Notepad, WordPad, gedit, and so on. Okay. Gedit is an editor which is editor tool which is used in Linux, right? So this text file which we have created, it saves, it is capable of saving what? Capital A to Z, small a to Z, digit 0 to 9, and special characters. Special character like $, multiplication, percentage, minus. So basically, we should say that it is your ASCII or Unicode character set. Each character or keystroke, it is converted into its corresponding ASCII or Unicode code and is saved in the file. That is, there is internal translation or encoding which takes place within the file. Is this much clear to everybody? Whatever we save in the text file, let me just demonstrate it over here. I'm double clicking on my file and I'm saving some text over here. This is a simple text file, right? So I just saved one line, okay? It uses internal translation. The characters are converted into their corresponding ASCII or Unicode codes and saved in the file, right? So, and I'm saving this file, and now I'll close this file. Now, when I double click this file, you will find that you are able to read everything in this. Why? Because internally it gets saved as ASCII or Unicode code, but when you are double clicking the file for viewing, it is again decoding it back into the required character so that reading is possible, so that the person is able to read the content of the file. Okay, and text files, they also, along with internal translation, each line within a text file ends with an EOL character, which is actually an end of line character, right? An EOL character, that is end of line character. That is a new line character will be there after each line. So here, if I double click it, copy all its content back to my whiteboard, and I'm pasting it here. So you will be able to see over here that there is end of line, that is a new line character after each line. Understood that? This is your EOL character, that is end of line character. Every line in the text file, it ends with an EOL character, and the entire content, the last line will also end with an EOF character, which is an end of file character. Got it, everybody? Okay, so I hope the idea behind files, why we create files, is clear to everyone. So in text file, like I said, internal translation takes place and all the text files are saved with the extension .txt, and basically it will save everything using ASCII or Unicode coding, which makes it very clear that we can only save textual data in text files. We cannot save any data which is like audio data or video data or image file data. We cannot save in the text file. In a text file, each line ends with an end of line character, and each file itself ends with an EOF, that is end of file character. That means there are two delimiters which we use with text files. Now next is binary files. What are binary files? Now in binary files, sometimes their extension is .bin, which is binary. Sometimes we can also write them as .dat, that is data files. Okay, and binary files can save almost any type of data: text, image, audio, video, and so on. So it can save any type of data, and at the hardware level, the data is saved as a stream of bytes. Okay, whatever data you are saving, it is saved as a stream of bytes. We can save any type of data. No internal translation takes place. There is no internal translation that takes place in case of binary files, because data as is, it is data is just dumped into the binary files, and it is saved in its raw form. Raw form means simply the data, whatever way you have given the data, converted into zeros and ones, that is stream of bytes, and it is saved. Okay, so it happens that whenever you try to view the binary files by right clicking it and opening it any text editor, you will see all garbled characters. Okay, all garbled characters you'll be able to see. Just an arbitrary jargon of letters and numbers you'll be able to see in that, right? And you might be able to figure out few data, that is names of persons or salary, any numeric data which is saved, and rest are all some huge collection of special characters which you see. Okay, that is, you see garbled characters in binary files because no internal translation takes place. The data is not saved as ASCII or Unicode codes. Rather, whatever way you give it, it is simply converted into your binary form, that is in the form of a stream of bytes, and it is saved in the file. Now, in a binary file, there is no end of line character. No end of line. Okay. There is only one EOF character, that is end of file character, at the end of the file, which marks the end of the file. Okay. No internal translation. Data is saved in its raw form. And one more thing, unlike your text files can be opened using any text editor or word processing software. Whereas these can be opened only by specific programs or applications. Right? Like for example, if it is an image file, okay, just I will show you a small demonstration over here. Like, wait a sec, I'm going to open some images here. Like I have this image, okay. Now if I double click this, it will open it in its default location, which is the photo viewer, the Photos app of Windows, okay. And likewise, we have Windows photo viewer, Windows image viewer, or any other image viewer software like ACDC or Adobe Photoshop. It will open in all those softwares in this format, right? But now if I right click on it and try to open it any text editor, open it in any text editor, like I go to open with, and from here you can see by default also Windows never gives you any other application other than any of the graphics application here. But still I would go to choose another app and I'll try to open this in a text editor. So I'll be selecting, I'll be going to more apps, and let's go with Notepad and click on open. And what do you see over here? It's all garbled characters, all unintelligible, unreadable characters you can see, because it is just a continuous jargon. It is a continuous stream of bytes which is saved, right? So that is why these are certain files, mostly binary files are used for storing videos, audio, okay, and some at certain points some image files also, which can be opened only by specific program or software. So right now in this file handling, which we are going to study in case of Python, we will not be working with any audio, video or image files here. We will be using binary files to store basically records, okay, records of students, employees, etc. Any kind of data which I want to save in the form of block, as a single block of data, or I want to save it as a single object. Like I created a list of items, like suppose it is first item is roll number of the student, second item is the name of the student, third item is the marks of the student, okay, and so on. So this is one object which I have created, and I want to save this entire object as a list itself, as one single block. okay, in a binary file. So I can use it for doing that. I cannot save this list as a list object in case of text files. How it will, in case of a text file, if you save this, each of this will be used, will be uh, taken up as a character. That is, if I take this square bracket, okay, left square bracket, then this quotation mark, then this, these characters I am writing over here. So each of them will be identified as a character, and this whole thing will be identified as a text line, a line of text. But I want to save this whole thing as a list object. Okay. So for that, I will be using binary file. So this we will be seeing a little later in the chapter. Right now, because you people are not at all aware of file handling, so we are going to start with text files for the time being. Okay. Binary files we shall be seeing later in the chapter. So basically binary files are used to handle records or data which is to be collected on a daily basis, okay? And we don't need to view that data using any other software. हमें जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती है कि हम किसी और सॉफ्टवेयर में उस डेटा को देखें. We would be needing this software only, that is we would be needing this program, we would be needing this Python program exclusively for working with binary files, right? And that is the reason why binary files are also very fast in processing, because no internal translation is there, so their processing is also very fast. So we are going to move on to the next topic right now. Text files, what are binary files? Now we will be seeing, we'll be talking about basic file manipulation tasks, that is reading, writing, and appending. So what is file manipulation? That is working on files, okay, making changes in the file. What changes can you make in a file? Can anybody tell me?
Edit the stored information in it.
Okay, edit the stored information. Other than that, if the file has been created for the first time, we can store information, that is add data to it. Okay, we can write data to it, we can add more data to it, we can edit the data, that is modify it, we can delete the data, and we can also read the data. So three primary things are writing data, okay, second is reading data, and third is append data. Now what do you understand by these three? Writing data means when you are creating the file, okay, suppose if you are creating the file for the first time, you will be sending some data to the file, so that data is written to the file, okay, right? Second is reading data, file already exists and you are reading content from the file. But what is append data? Append data means adding more data. How is it different from write data? If suppose your file already exists, like you have a file named myschool.txt and it already contains 5 lines, right? So now when you again run the program to write the data, these 5 lines will be removed from the file. File will not be removed. These 5 lines will be removed, and the new content will be written to the file. The old content will be replaced by the new content. I'll write it here. Old content replaced by new content, right? That's what happens with writing data. And the next is reading data. So what is done? File should be present and you just read the data from the file. And last is appending data. Don't remove the old content. Instead, on top of the old content, that is whatever the content is there, you can simply add the new content after that. Okay, this is known as appending data. Writing data, reading data, and appending data. Writing data, old content is replaced by new content. Reading data, simply reading the data with reading the content of the file. Appending data, adding new content to the back or to the end of the file. Means wherever the old EOF character was there, remove that EOF character, add new content, and place the EOF character at the end of the file. So all these things we will see later. Okay, this is about making changes. Now, when it comes to writing data, how is it done? Write or append data. What will be the direction of data? This is your page. Firstly, you have your input device. Your keyboard, your mouse, right? Using which you enter data. User enters the data from the keyboard, which goes into your program, the Python program. Right? Now what the Python program is going to do is, it is going to make use of a temporary memory area. It is going to make use of an object known as a file object. Remember, these both exists within RAM. Program is also there in your RAM, and your file object, which is a temporary memory area created to handle your file related tasks, that is also there in the RAM only. And from here, the data, it goes into your hard disk. That is disk file. Why the use of file object now? So this is a big question mark. Why not program directly communicating with the disk file? The reason is speed mismatch. Your program is executed by whom? The processor, that is the CPU. And we know that processor works at a very high speed. And compared to processor, the speed of disk file is very less. So that is why there is a huge speed mismatch. If suppose the program sends any data to the disk file, the processor would be sending the data to the disk file at a very high rate. At such a high rate that because of its slow speed, disk file or hard disk will be overwhelmed by the data. It won't be able to save the complete data. That is why your program always needs, your processor always needs the RAM for running anything, for running any program, or for working with your content from your disk file. So whatever content, first of all, the program will send it to the file object, which is in the RAM. And from there, the data can go at its own speed to the disk file. धीरे धीरे फिर डेटा डिस्क फाइल पे जाता रहे और आपका प्रोसेसर कोई और दूसरा काम करे. Understood? So this is what happens. So this is writing. So while writing data or appending data, this is the direction. That is program to disk file. Or we should say RAM or memory to hard disk. This is your direction of data while writing or appending data to it. Next, we come to reading data. What should be the direction now? Now for reading data, I am just taking the disk file here. This cylinder represents your hard disk, okay? So from the disk file, the data is first read into the file object. This is your file object, so data is read into the file object. Now the program is going to use this file object to read the content of the disk file. when the program executes, the data will be fetched from the disk file and it will be saved in the file object. Now, whatever you want to do with the data, you want to print the data on the output device, that is, whether you want to send it to the monitor to display for display purposes, whether you want to send the data to the CPU for further processing, that is sending it to the ALU for further processing, or you want to save that, you want to print the data directly. Okay, so it depends upon the statements written in the program itself. So whatever the programmer chooses, it will be done. So the direction is like this. So here basically it is the output device which is working. मीन्स डिस्क फाइल से हमने डेटा उठाया, फाइल ऑब्जेक्ट में रखा, अब हम उससे कुछ भी काम करा सकते हैं. We can use it for further processing. For example, I want the total sales amount done in a month. Suppose I am a data entry operator who always enters the data. I am in charge of a small shop, and basically I am using a program for inventory management, which contains all the complete stock information of all the items which are there in my shop, and I also have to keep a track of any of the sales. So by the end of the month, my boss wants to know that what is the total sales amount. So what will I do? I will execute a program which will read the entire content from the disk file, and some programming might have been done which can be used for calculating the total sales. तो डेटा एक बार आपका उठ के आ गया फाइल ऑब्जेक्ट में. नाउ यू कैन डू एनीथिंग विद दैट. यू कैन डिस्प्ले दैट डेटा, यू कैन प्रिंट द डेटा, you can save the data somewhere, you can send it directly to the printer, you can use it for further processing, you can use it for calculation of sum, average, anything what you want to do, right? So right now the direction of data is hard disk to RAM, that is memory. Is this much clear to everyone? ना समझ आया?
Yes, ma'am.
Speed mismatch, why there is a file object which is needed, that is because of the speed mismatch between hard disk and the processor, because program is something which is executed by the processor, so it is quite possible. And also on the other hand, data, if it is directly read from the hard disk, it would be read at a very slow speed, which will make the processor sit idle for a long time. So that is why let the data come at its own speed into the file object, and then the program can work very fast with this file object, right? So if you have to save any data or you have to do any kinds of modifications, you will always use the file object for doing all your work, for doing all your operations. And later on, when the program terminates, at that time, all the changes which you made to the file object will be saved into your disk file. Now, changes will be saved into the disk file only when you are working in the write or append mode, not in the reading mode. रीड मोड में आपके फाइल से सिर्फ डेटा रीड होगा, कुछ भी राइट और अपेंड नहीं होगा. Understood that, everyone? That was about the basic file manipulation tasks which are performed. Now we come to the main thing, that is opening files. What do you understand by opening files? Opening files means your file, either it will be there on your hard disk or it won't be there, right? If you are going to write something into the file, then in that case it is not necessary that your file has to be there, because if your file is not there, your program will create the file and then it will save data into it. If we are talking about write or append. So here, file created if not exist. If the file doesn't exist, it will be created. Okay, and content will be written onto the file.
Ma'am, recording.
Have I not started? I have started recording.
Okay, ma'am.
There, you can see here. And if it is read mode, file has to be present. Read mode, if the file is not there in the destination, then Python will report an error. Okay, because for reading, भाई library से मुझे book पढ़ना है, shelf में वो वाली book भी तो होनी चाहिए, वरना हम पढ़ेंगे क्या? But if a new book has to be kept into the added to the collection of the library, it can all it is not necessary that it has to be there. Okay, a new book just has to be placed into the library, but if you have to read any book, it has to be present in the library, right? So same way, file has to be present if it has to be read, but if it has to be written or appended, then it doesn't need to exist, because your program will create the file and then do the write operation onto the file. Now, meaning of opening files is, what do we mean by opening files? There are a number of steps. Number one, firstly, create a file object. Right? Second is assign a file handle to the file object. What is the file handle? The identifier which is used to name the file object, that is the label which is used, or the variable name which we use. We will not use the term variable name over here. We will use the term file handle to identify the identifier for the file object. Like for example, if suppose I am creating a name of a file object as my file. It's a Python identifier which is actually working as a file handle, and it is associated with a file object. It is actually used to access the file object which is saved in your memory, right? So assign a file handle to it and associate the disk file with the file object. Means this file object which is created, now it will be whatever changes, if any changes are made, it will be made to the disk file which is associated with this file object. Means whatever work you want to do with the file, you will be doing it using this file object, and you will be referring to the file object using its file handle. Okay, let's memorize once again. What do you mean by opening a file? Number one, create a file object. Number two, assign a file handle to the file object, which is the identifier. And number three, associate the disk file with the file object so that you can henceforth throughout the program, whatever work you will be doing with the file, you will be using the file handle only, and you will not be referring to the file name. Okay, file name will be used only once while associating the disk file with the file object. That's all. बाकी का सारा काम आप किससे करोगे? फाइल हैंडल को यूज करके ही करोगे. Understood that? Next, we come to the very first syntax of opening files. So for this, we use a function named as open function. Okay, it is a built-in function, and you use this function for opening a file. That is all the series of the 3 steps which I explained. So what is its syntax? Note this very carefully. First is, I'm going to type the syntax in Python because that would be better. This is new and I'm going to save it in that location which I had created, file handling tutorial. And this is, I'm naming this as all file operations .py. Okay. Now listen very carefully. Syntax number one is I'll be using a file handle. File handle equals open file name, second, comma, file mode. This is the syntax. And as an example, suppose I am creating a file handle named my file equals open any file name I'm giving. For example, I'm giving the file name some text.txt, comma, and I have to provide the file mode. Now, what are the file modes? There are three file modes, many file modes here. You have to remember the basic three file modes first. That is number one, R, which is for read. Number two, W, which is for write. Number three, A, that is for append. Apart from this, we have R plus W plus A plus, which I will cover in the later chapter. So here, if suppose you are opening the file for performing write operation, use W, okay? Open the file for write operation. Second is my file equals open. Anything you can have, these are file names, any file name you can use. R, open the file for read operation only. And last of all, open the file for append operation only. Now these are names of files. Okay, I will show you the file names in my folder here. I have created my file. Okay, it's a simple text file. So I'm just going to rename this file by something. About text file. So I just gave a random name about text files to it. Okay, I'm just going to copy this name from here. So I've copied the name. I come back here. I'm just replacing this about text files.txt. So now my file is what? Let me explain the meaning of this now. Here, my file is your file handle, which is associated with a file object. Right? Open is the name of the function. This is your file name and A is your file mode. Understood, everybody? So this is how you are going to first associate this disk file with a file object, and that file object has this identifier, that is file handle. And you also supply a file mode along with this, which is also written in double quotes. Please make sure that you provide both the information in single or double quotes because it is a string. Okay, is this much clear to everyone? Let us check the time. We have time. I'm going to create a sample file. I'm just going to open the file, right? So right now I will also be using some statements to read content from a file. Don't get confused in that, right? Because I will be teaching all that to you. So which file am I going to open? So first you can see over here, this is my program and this is the file. And you can see both the program and the file are in the same location. So first of all, you have to make sure, just like if you remember students in class 10, we used to do HTML. And I always used to keep repeating that both your HTML file and the image file should be in the same folder. If you remember that, right? So here also you have to make sure that your Python program and the text file both have to be at the same location. Okay. So now what my program is going to do is it is going to read content from my text file. So I'm going to just create a file handle. Now let me tell you, file handle is an identifier. So you can give any user defined name to the file handle using the rules to form an identifier. Suppose I'm giving a file name here, file read. I'm going to perform read operation. So I've just given a name, file read. This file read is going to be my file handle. Equals open. What is the name of the file? It is about text files. So you can just right click it, go to rename, copy the name, and you already know its extension is .txt, comma. What are we going to do? We are going to perform read operation, close it. Press enter. And whatever I'm going to write over here now, don't be worried about that. I just want to show you how you can display content of the file on the Python shell. So for line in file read, print line. And at the end, I'm going to close the file, that is break the association between the file, disk file and the file handle. So let us run the program. And you can see all the 4 statements within the program are here. If I just open this, you can see this is the program. This is the actual file. And you can compare. This was the text written within the file. And this is the text from the file which is displayed. And you can also see a blank line after every line. That is because each line within this text file is delimited with an end of line character because it is a text file. So there is an end of line character, that is a new line character after every line. So it is reading that new line character to change the line. One is, see why it is happening. One is print line. We already know that simply using print means what is the argument end having? End equals /n. If I have not provided, if I have not changed end argument to space, by default it will always change the line. Okay, so it prints one single line. Okay, then it changes the line to start printing from the next line, but it finds a /n character at the end of the line, so it adds an extra line over there. So when we actually start with reading content from the file, you will understand it in a better way. If I have to remove this extra line, I will simply type here rstrip. Rstrip function, which is used to strip the line of extra spaces or new line characters from the right side of the string. And now you can see that extra new line character is removed and only the print statement is working. It is printing every line on a separate line. Is it clear to everyone? When we study actually about reading from a file, you will understand this. So you can see that how a file is opened. So this is opening a file. Now let us talk about opening files in detail. First LV, is opening files clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Opening a file is clear, right? Okay. Now few other things related to opening a file. We studied file object, we studied file modes, 3 ways of inserting file name, text string as file name. This is very important now. Three ways of inserting file name, text string as file name. That is where I wrote here my file equals open file name dot txt. Right now what we are doing is we are saving the file in the same location as the Python program. What if I create a new folder to save it? So in that case, right now I'm just going to tell it to you in theory, because that practical we will do a little later. Suppose this is the file hierarchy, file handling tutorial is my folder name. And within this, I have one folder which is files. So this folder contains the file name, that is all text.txt. Suppose this is my file name, and within this file handling tutorial folder itself, I have the program name, that is file handling.py. So this is my Python program. So where is the Python program? It is directly within the file handling tutorial folder. This is a folder. And where is the all text.txt file? Within a file folder named files. Which folder is within this folder, parent folder, right? So now my file handling.py program, if you run this program is not going to find the all text.txt file within this folder, that is file handling tutorial folder के अंदर तो नहीं है वो, कहाँ पे है, उसके अंदर जो folder है उसके अंदर है. That means its path should be like this. Its path should be this. That is within files, within the current folder, we know that the program is within the current folder. इसी फोल्डर के अंदर एक फोल्डर है फाइल्स, जिसके अंदर आपका फाइल है, that is all text.txt. That means I need to write my statement like this. Files all text.txt and R. This is how I should write the file, right? In this case, it is okay. But look at this very carefully. You see this slash and all text. Slash A, if you remember, it is an escape sequence character, which is used for bell sound. Okay, that is slash A. So that is why in order to write this whole text, in order to write this slash or identify the slash as something separating the folder from the file, we need to use 3 ways. First way is I write it like this. My file equals open files. If I have to write it like this, use double slash. Double slash means I am using the escape sequence character for a backslash. First way is this. Second way is files and use a forward slash after that. And the third way is to use a character R just before the double quotes and then use alt text. 3 ways to do this. One is to use double slash, which is actually the first one will be used for, it is an escape sequence for backslash. Second option is to use a single forward slash to separate the folder from the file. And third is to use a character R. Okay, just type small r, then double quotes, then the folder, and then you can proceed as usual. So this thing you can just keep this aloof for the time being. I just gave you an insight into it. When we actually start creating folders within folder, at that time I will revisit this once again. Abhi bilkul confused nahi hona. Right now you go by the very simple method which is given over here. Okay, abhi isi method se chalenge. Once you get a little familiar with this, then we will move on to this next. Okay, I hope that should do it for today, for today's class.